This week, Rome Alone. Pulling Power gets a first ride on Piaggio's new Super Scoot. We check out the Lexus that claims to take the pain out of parking. Plus, we bring you the first full road test of BMW's all-new 5 Series. The 5th generation BMW 5 Series has arrived, and the manufacturer claims that this is a car that will immediately capture your imagination. This is the 520i SE base model. It'll set you back close to 25.5 grand. Add a few extras and you could be creeping up to nearer 30. The BMW brand is a top seller in Greater London, so prepare to see an invasion of the 5s on the capital streets over the next few months. No point in me running through the list of improvements on this car versus the old model. On paper, everything is better. It's safer, it performs better, although I've got my doubts about that. It's more fuel efficient, etc., etc. But BMWs in the past had that certain something special from the outside, but also the moment that you climbed inside. And this car, well, it simply doesn't. Well, I was rather hoping that if I stepped outside the car and looked at the interior from a bit of a distance, it would look a bit better, but if anything, it looks a bit worse, because for starters, you can see this really coarse, horrible light grey and potentially very grubby seat fabric, all this light grey plastic around here. It's been downgraded, this interior, compared with previous 5 Series models. I don't care what anyone tells me. It just doesn't have that quality feel to it. It doesn't have the BMW feel to it. It's a bit sort of Skoda-ish. It's a bit sort of Skoda Octavia. They've definitely, as far as I'm concerned, downgraded the interior finish. And the fact that you have to pay 300 quid to put some wood in this one, wood that looks like plastic incidentally, to spice it up, I think says it all. It seems to me that good car design involves simple, clean lines. There's one. But surely that one should follow through, surely. Instead of that, it flicks up there at the end, and then we've got this thing coming along here. It's too fussy. Now, this rear design is very controversial, and it doesn't really work for me, but it works inside, because what it means, because that's so tall, that boot, you can get in 2 suitcases and an awful lot more. Although, if you could afford a car like this, you would not want to be seen with a pikey suitcase like that. In terms of the seating position, the ride and handling of the car, the noise levels, well, it's like a BMW, you know, world class, no problem there at all. In terms of the engine, this is the 2-litre 170 horsepower version. Doesn't feel like 170 horsepower for starters. 2-litre, well, it should be quite adequate, nothing blistering, but certainly enough to get you up a very steep, long and winding road. Now, here I am in 4th gear, going up a bit of a hill, and still another 2 gears to go. I'm not in top gear, I'm not in 5th gear, I'm in 4th, and I'm absolutely flat out. The car's creeping along, I'm doing 40 miles an hour. I really need to drop it down into 3rd. And still, I mean, pedal to the metal, I kid you not. I am flat out. Come on, come on! I'm flat out in 3rd gear. What happens if I've got a boot full of luggage and a posse full of fat friends? Nothing wrong with this gearbox, nothing wrong with this engine. This is the point, this is the key thing. This transmission mated to this power pack with these gear ratios is not a successful formula. The new 5s will come with all sorts of options. Active steering, headlights that peer around corners, expensive wood panels for the dashboard, plus the controversial iDrive system. Well, this iDrive system on this car has been modified. It's simpler, but it's still too complicated for me, and I think BMW need a big rethink on this whole iDrive concept. You should keep your hands on the steering wheel as much as possible. That means as many controls as possible here on the steering wheel itself. And the other principle of this is that while you're driving the car, your passenger Meet Rob, my lovely assistant. Your passenger can fiddle with it, and I'm trying to change gear. I'm clonking my gear stick on his hand. Get out of the way. This is my department. I'm controlling the car. If somebody wants to control the stereo system, the navigational system or something, there should be switches up here, not interfering with the driver as he's trying to change up or down the gearbox. And like I said, on this car, my God, do you change up and down the gearbox a lot? Now, I'm convinced this car could be a class leader, but BMW really need to sort out the 520's interior and engine problems. But this story might well have ended in tears had I not had a few moments to play with the 520's bigger, better brother. Well, thankfully, my faith in BMW has been restored because, as you may have gathered, I'm not a fan of this 2-litre, 6-speed 520. For a mere £5,000 more, you could go for this, the 530. I mean, night and day, chalk and cheese. If, because you've only got 25 grand, you want this car, well, go down to a 3 Series, much better bet for your money. Get a 325i or something. Night and day, ignore it. It's horrible. This is the one.
So, what have the Romans ever done for us? Well, there's street lighting, sanitation, central heating and public baths, to name just a few. And then, of course, there's the traffic. Yes, Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's because Bobbus the Builder was stuck in a jam. And you know what? It's been pretty much the same ever since. So it's not surprising then that along with great fashion, fantastic food and of course very sexy men, the scooter is one of modern Italy's great gifts to the world. So we've come to Rome for a very special event, the launch of a brand new Vespa. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Gran Turismo. Now at first glance, the GT might look like every other Vespa you've ever seen, but believe me, it isn't. It's actually much bigger, about 10% bigger. Piaggio have pulled off a very neat trick. By fitting larger 12-inch wheels, they've dramatically improved the handling and ride quality. And then by scaling everything else up, they've managed to keep the Vespa's classic proportions intact. Of course, I'm used to riding bigger bikes, so the first time I got on this, I was a little disappointed that it didn't have a bit more oomph at the traffic lights, but get a bit of speed up and it'll kind of do everything you need. It's nippy enough, nimble enough. Brakes are very, very good. Caught me out the first time I tried to use them. All in all, it's ideal for anyone who's got a slightly longer than average commuter run, particularly when it's fitted with a more powerful 15 brake horsepower 200cc engine rather than the entry-level 125. Having said that, at almost £3,000, it's not exactly cheap. Then again, for an Italian scooter, it is incredibly well made. When I first saw it on paper, I wasn't overly impressed, but now I've met face to face and I've spent a day with it, I think it's quite cool. I especially like all this little trimming down here, the vents, the hook for your shopping, your handbag, the way you can put stuff away in here and underneath here. I like this little light at the back, I think it's really trick. Altogether, it's not a bad bit of kit, and you know what? I like Rome as well. Now, before I arrived in Italy, I was told that you were 50 times more likely to be killed on a scooter in Rome than you are on the streets of London. Now, that's a staggering statistic, but after having seen the way they drive over here, I can well believe it. This place is mad. They're all lunatics. Watch out. Blimey, coming through. Oh, my goodness. Don't you people have any rules? Haven't had any car doors open like you get in London, but the traffic is definitely worse. Because in London, at least there's some kind of order. There's usually like a lane or a route that everyone's following. Over here, it's like every man for himself, or woman. So do you know what? I've been on horseback with a horse that's gone absolutely mental. I've been a gladiator for 4 years and nothing has prepared me for riding a scooter through the streets of Rome. I like this. It's nippy, brakes are good, it's got just enough power to get you from A to B and not get too caught out. And the colour's nice, and the helmet matches. What more can a girl want?
Imagine travelling 73 yards in a second or covering 2.5 miles in under a minute. Now imagine doing that on a motorbike with your eyes shut. Well, that's what the world-blind motorcycling land speed record is all about. To break it, you have to travel at over 150 miles an hour without the aid of sight. For the last year, smashing this record has been the obsession of one man. Billy the Whiz Baxter is a former Royal Artillery Staff Sergeant from Cambridgeshire who lost his sight while serving on peacekeeping duties in Bosnia. For him, this is not only a personal challenge, it's also a way to say thank you and raise £100,000 for the London-based blind servicemen's charity, St Dunstan's.
It stemmed from the spirit of St Dunstan's, and that is what St Dunstan's is about. I wanted to give them something back in gratitude for saving my marriage and my life. And what better way than doing something that was a very close thing to my heart.
Go mate, brace yourself.
Pulling Power first met Billy last year when he was preparing for his record-breaking attempt. Back then, he still needed someone to ride pillion, just in case something went wrong. And to be honest, to start with, even at these relatively slow speeds, he did have trouble keeping it on line.
Straighten up, straighten up, straighten up. You're turning very hard, Billy. Literally, you're more leaning it than turning anything on the steering. Roger, you've nearly got a bloody knees down on one of them. Marvellous.
But from the word go, his outriders never doubted his courage.
Billy as a person, he's fantastic, and he's probably the better person to be attempting a record like this because his sheer enthusiasm and his dedication, you can see it's a passion for him.
Here we goes, here we goes. I can't find the handlebars, which is a bit of a problem, but now you're scaring me.
Billy makes me think, what am I doing with my life? I've always been a kind of get up and go person, and then having met Billy, you know, I haven't seen him for a few years, and telling me about the stuff he's done, and I think, what am I doing? Really, I need a kick up the backside.
Billy's certainly come a long way since the last time we saw him. Today, it's D-Day.
Yeah, good to go, Billy.
Now it's just Billy, a 2-mile runway, and his bike.
All clear, all clear. Lovely sound, Billy, lovely. That's it, get it through the gears, mate, get it through the gears. That's lovely and straight, Billy, that. Keep it going through, mate, you got loads of room. Little to the left. That's it, you're getting wider on there, Billy. You are straight as a die, Billy. Absolutely straight as a die. Keep it going, Billy, that's awesome. Keep it going, mate, little to the left.
Well, that's it. Billy has smashed the previous record with an awesome 165.8 miles an hour averaged over 2 runs. At one point, he even hit 180 miles an hour. Sadly, he's still a little short of the £100,000 he was hoping to raise for charity. But knowing Billy the way we do, I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
The four-wheel drive vehicle is under attack. Environmentalists complain about how much fuel they guzzle, and local MPs are branding them a danger to anyone on or near a road. But how can the sports utility vehicle so synonymous with power and tarmac dominance change its brutish image? Well, for one thing, customers might find them more appealing if they were easier to park. Enter the Lexus RX 300 SE. There are more toys packed into this car than Hamleys in Regent Street. Remote access tailgate and the unique rear camera technology, which should make parking this 4x4 an absolute doddle.
The car's rear view camera, situated by the number plate, will actually guide you in and give you a series of grid lines to help you actually park the car next to the curb. Manoeuvre your steering wheel until the green box appears. This green box actually signifies your space. Once I get that green line to physically touch the tyre, I know my steering angle is perfect. A small arc will appear. That arc is showing the angle at which we're parking at the moment. We need this green line here to be very close to the curb. We can physically turn the wheel on the other lock and our grid lines will appear. Then a red line across the bottom, which signifies the back of the car. We're in 2 turns of the wheel.
So, to put the system to the test, we found a couple of drivers who admit they're the dodgiest parkers in London.
I've only been driving for about 2 years. My technique is not great.
Parking is quite a nightmare, really. I've had a few touches on cars before, and it just makes me worried that I'm going to do that again.
And with our cameras positioned to record their every turn of the wheel, the pressure was on.
Okay.
Reverse back very, very gently. All the way around.
Oh,
yeah.
going too fast.
That's it. Put your steering wheel on full lock. Once we finally get these 2 green outer lines here on the inside of the parking box, we've got loads of room before we hit that silver Porsche behind us. Keep going. Keep going. We've got loads of room behind you. That's it, and we're done.
Wow.
Perfect. Keep it at that. Right, that's fine.
Just straighten
That's
up now,
fine.
straighten up.
Straighten up, yep. And just go back as you are, very, very gently.
The angle lines don't move no matter what position you are in relation to the parking space. So that's quite easy to sort of get used to, and you get quite confident.
Reverse parking just staring straight ahead. It's very, very odd, but it works superbly.
Day 5 of the Gumball Rally, and we're preparing to leave San Antonio for New Orleans. And at last I can ditch the Ford Taurus, stop hitching rides and complete the rest of the journey in style.
I had all of 2.5 hours sleep last night because I forgot you have to party. But this morning, I've got my 911 and I'm ready to Gumball.
Tell you what, this car is a completely different concept to the Lotus. It feels fantastic. And we're just able to keep up our high speeds and the car's completely relaxed. It's a different experience and it also feels a more comfortable one. Meanwhile, the other Gumballers are doing their best to chew up the Texas miles as quickly as possible and make it to the first checkpoint in Houston. But in Texas, more haste, less speed is the best way forward. The Texas police are notoriously tough on speeding and loads of Gumballers are stopped within a few miles of setting off. But Tom and Colin from South London are making good progress in the Bentley Azure, or at least they were.
What year is this vehicle?
98.
And it is a Bentley. Hey, I was right. I thought it was a Bentley. You know, I'm pretty good at recognizing cars when they pass me at 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, whatever. 'Cause this is my United States of whatever.
So with the others getting pulled over left, right and centre, it looks like my luck has finally turned, and it had. It was about to get worse. What's that noise? What's that smell? Oh, it's us. We've got something wrong. I just can't believe this. We're on our way again, and I can smell smoke. It feels like we've got a puncture. Let's have a look. Can't believe this. Puncture. Look at that. We're hitching lifts again. Don't even know if we've got a spare. Probably haven't. Tyres, no good. There's nothing on it. By this point, I was beginning to wonder if I'd ever make it to Miami. But I wasn't the only one having a bad day. Just a few miles after being stopped the first time, Colin and Tom were again feeling the full force of Texas law.
They really threw the book at us, and if this car, regardless of who's driving, gets stopped again in Texas, it'll be impounded.
Meanwhile, I was busy changing the wheel with the help of cameraman Rob. Whoever had this car before us had certainly had some fun in it.
Tyres disintegrated. Totally gone.
The rims were completely busted, and it looks as if somebody has just been spinning the car around and it's just disintegrated on the rims. So we've got the space saver on now, 60 miles an hour. So we're back to normal. and we just hope at the next stop we can get it repaired. Pray there's a spare tyre somewhere. Until then, though, we are once again limping along well below the speed limit. Meanwhile, Colin's at it again.
We've been pulled over again, I think, unnecessarily. I don't think we were speeding. We'd like to see some proof that we were. But they're just detaining us, and it's very frustrating.
And true to their word, the Texas police are going to come down hard, and the novelty of getting stopped is beginning to wear off.
So after being kept by the roadside waiting for the last half an hour for then 6 police cars in total to come over, we have discovered that we were doing 86 in a 75, so 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. The plum in charge of this operation is the state trooper who's in front of us now. We are 55 miles from the state border. If that was 5 miles from the state border, I think we'd fancy our chances.
While Tom and Colin await their fate, some frantic phoning around has found a discount tyre store not too far out of the way.
Yeah, we found somewhere at last. We're just keeping our fingers crossed. We're going to have to change all 4 tyres because we can only get 2 of one kind. I think it's just best to get rid of all 4, get some new tyres on the car. So we're going to get held up for a while, but better to get where we're going. So we're going to miss the first stop and go straight down to New Orleans. Big time, we hope.
So, yet again, while the rest of the Gumballers enjoy a good meal at the next checkpoint, I get to watch a mechanic patch up our car. But things soon start to look up and I'm back on the road, albeit with my wallet a few $100s lighter. For Colin, though, the situation is getting tense as he's led in to see the judge. It goes well, and Colin escapes with a small fine. When asked, he pleaded no contest to a charge of speeding, but he's got no idea what that means.
When you sign the no contest, that's basically saying you're not pleading guilty, but you're definitely not pleading innocent either. It's kind of a halfway between. So if someone asks you, this is on your record. Well, I didn't plead guilty on it, or I pleaded innocent or whatever.
So I probably did the right thing then.
If I was in your shoe, that's what I'd do.
Another lucky escape for Tom and Colin, and they too can finally get back on the road to New Orleans. Next week, it's the final leg of our journey, and the finish line in Miami is in sight.
Whatever.